I have returned. After an eternity away from you all,
J. Alexander
is back.
Sorry it's been so long, but that doesn't matter now. I'm here to talk about this. Now, Fable has been a part of my life ever since I was a little kid. In fact, the only IP that I could think of that's been in my life for a longer period of time is Star Wars. At the time, I was too young to know about Peter Molyneux's overpromises, so I had no clue about missing acorns growing into oak trees.
You know, using much more subtle weapons like knives and daggers and shurikens, and then your character will be a lot more dexterous. You'll be fast enough to catch arrows in midair.
I just love the atmosphere, the story, the combat. Pretty much everything about it. It was my first real introduction to fantasy as a genre, and I think it shaped a lot of my gaming taste as I got older. I mean, just look at my library, nearly 20 years later. Now, the Fable franchise can be a little confusing, so let me give you a quick rundown for the uninitiated. The original Fable was released on Xbox in 2004. However, due to deadlines and other factors, a lot of planned content had to be scrapped. A year later, Fable The Lost Chapters came out, adding in some of that missing content. In 2014, for Fable's 10-year anniversary, Lionhead released a remastered version of The Lost Chapters on the Xbox 360, aptly titled Fable Anniversary. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to refer to all three games collectively as Fable. Fable 2 launched in 2008, Fable 3 was farted out in 2010, and the rushed development meant it felt more like a Fable 2 DLC rather than a full game, making it one of the greatest disappointments of my childhood.
One of the most significant bummers of my lifetime.
There were also a couple of other Fable spin-offs, but we don't talk about those. These days, I think it's fair to say most people agree that Fable is the best. Of course, Fable 2 has its fans and I still play it. It's a fun game. There's also a small camp of contrarians who pretend to like Fable 3 because they think it makes them seem interesting. Let me break down why I love this game. One of Fable's biggest draws, aside from the fantasy setting and intriguing villains, is its morality system. Like Knights of the Old Republic, one of the greatest games of all time by the way, you earn good points for good deeds and evil points for evil deeds. Now, this wasn't exactly the most original thing, even back then, but Fable took it up a notch, especially for its time. Sure, games like Morrowind let you wipe out entire cities, but there was hardly ever a reason to do so, and you probably lock yourself out of future quests. Not with Fable. If you want to grow the biggest devil horns possible, you can go back to your childhood town and reenact the opening tragedy dozens of times over, with zero repercussions. Why? Because you can. Or maybe it's because you want to buy up all the houses and exploit the rent system for passive income. You gotta make that 200 to 400k in real estate. The real ones get it. And if you ever regret your evil deeds, just leave town for a bit, eat some tofu, donate to a religious organization, and presto! Everyone loves you, they forget all about it, you get a halo. After all, we all know religious vegans are the most virtuous that humanity has to offer. It says so in the Old Testament. Fable's morality system is both broken and fun to exploit. For example, divorcing your spouse is somehow worse than murdering them. Sacrificing one person grants more evil points than slaughtering an entire band of traitors. And if you save a town for Balverines, you're a great hero. But steal a single loaf of bread afterward and suddenly you're public enemy number one. What? Now, back in the day, I strictly played good or evil runs. Either the patron saint of chasing chickens or the antichrist tormenting all living things. Any deviation from those paths meant game over for me, basically. Time to start over. Now, I just do what I want. Little girl lost her teddy bear, I'll give it to the bully for his gold, then beat him up to get it back for a good deed. Guy needs to take a dump? Fine. I'll smash his barrels, find the gold piece, and get back in time so he can put in a good word for me. Dude's cheating on his wife? I'll take that hush money and I'll rat him out. Now, granted, these are all from the childhood, but it applies to the big choices too. For example, when Twin Blade surrenders and Teresa says to spare him, hey, too bad. He's in league with a deity trying to destroy the world. Not to mention he burned down my hometown, murdered my family, and imprisoned my sister for a decade. Off with his head, I say. I don't care if it's evil. Spare Whisper and Thunder after a lifetime of bullying and mockery? No way. Marrying Lady Grey may have been a bad idea, but watching Thunder throw a tantrum over her is worth it every time.
If I can't have her, no one else can. The lady loves me!
And I mean, it's not like in other games, you know, I take issue in Fallout 3 when you gotta save that droid that's in Rivet City. I turn him in every single time. Robots are not people. I don't care. Nothing will ever convince me otherwise. Anyways, the thing about Fable is that it's a game all about choice, right? But it subverts that. It's not like these David Chase movies that are somehow passed off as video games with some half-baked moral message. No. In Fable, none of your choices matter. Sure, there are alternate endings, but you can contradict your own morality with essentially no consequences. Some people might not like that. They might even call it a flaw. But me,
I like it a lot.
want to defend Orchard Farm and then immediately raid Barrow Fields? Go ahead, who's gonna stop you? Just donate to the Temple of Avo for legendary weapon, then slaughter the priests. Who cares? Make every good decision in the game, then don't spare Whisper in the arena. Actually, you know what? Yes, that is always unchanging. Never spare Whisper, ever. Toss the Sword of Aeons, but then put on Jack's mask. Spare Briar Rose and the Guildmaster, but kill Thunder out of spite. Your choices don't have to make sense, and that's the beauty of it. Now, the other thing I like about Fable is the economy, because it's absolutely busted. Now, you know, I'm not one to use cheat codes. I stay away from it. I like to play games organically. I don't even use mods in games. Now, the only exception to that being is whenever my dad wants to play Rock Band 2, and we haven't unlocked all the songs because who plays story mode? But exploits, on the other hand, well, that's another story. You see, Fable has an in-game economy where you can make money trading between shops, as they say, and it's very easy to break, even accidentally. For example, let's say that a shop has 60 roses. That's a lot of roses, but why not? Well, those are going to sell for really, really cheap because the trader's overstocked and the law of supply and demand and all that. But if you buy all 60 roses, well, now the trader has no stock. So he'll buy them all for twice as much as they're worth because he needs the inventory. So you can buy and sell these same 60 roses over and over again, making a profit every time you sell them. Well, let's kick it up a notch. What if it's not a rose? What if it's something more expensive, like a diamond? Well, that would take forever because each trader is only going to have like 1 or 2 diamonds at a time. And the time and effort it would take to collect 60 diamonds, I mean, that just wouldn't be worth it, right? That's where you're wrong, kiddo. To explain this, we're going to have to go back. The year is 2015. I'm wasting my life in my room eating potato chips and playing Fable when I enter a shop and decide I want to buy a box of chocolates. The shop has 10, so I hover over it and I decide I'm gonna buy some, but greasy fingers make the tab switch over to another menu where 6 health potions are being sold. And I notice that I have the option to buy 10 health potions. That's odd. So I go ahead and buy them and I check my inventory to see how many health potions I just bought, and 10. I check the shop again to see that 10 chocolates are still available to be bought. In my mind, a hypothesis is forming. So I select the chocolates, and before I'm able to select the amount, I tab over to the jewel menu again, and the option to sell 10 emeralds pops up. I think I'd better test this out. And long story short, I max out my goal in about 20 minutes. Now, this is the first thing I do at the start of every playthrough because I don't want to have to worry about silly things like improving my weapons and armor as I go. I want to max out my gold before I leave the Heroes Guild and fight the Wasp Queen with full plate armor and a Master Katana.
And for pity's sake, boy, make sure you replace that basic equipment while you're here.
Ooh, the combat. What do I say about the combat? Well, I've heard people describe Fable's combat as clunky or janky, to which I would say,
yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
okay, fine. Sometimes the hero locks onto an enemy off screen for no reason, and maybe it takes forever to cycle through your spell menu to get to the one you actually want, but, like, so? I have a nostalgic connection to this game and heavily rose-tinted glasses. Therefore, your opinion is invalid. I'm wrong, you're right, I'm smart, you're dumb, I'm humble, you're not. But even if you do have issues with the combat, there's a very simple solution. Just optimize it. You only need 3 spells: equip multi-strike on X, Assassin's Rush on A, and Force Push on B. That's all you need for the entire game. Sure, you could also throw in Physical Shield and chug mana potions for constant invincibility. I mean, I do. Listen, I played it normally for like 10 years. When you get to know a game that well, you gotta shake things up a bit. It's fun. Stop judging me.
Don't you dare judge me.
Now, technically this is an RPG, so that means you're supposed to choose a role, you know, rogue, warrior, or mage, but Fable doesn't care about that. It flips the whole system on its head. You're not just a rogue or a warrior, you're a god. You can max out everything and do basically whatever you want with no real consequences, so why wouldn't you? Max out strength, then never draw your sword in the arena, just to stand in the center and spam Inflame over and over again. Force push Whisper 100,000 times instead of killing Hobbs in the Hob killing contest. Beat Thunder at Headsman's Hill without taking a scratch. Use slow time to skip all of the minions and save the archaeologist. Fable is a game designed to be broken, so break it. The truth is, the melee and range combat systems in Fable are pretty simplistic. They're nothing to write home about, but they're engaging enough to be fun. The real star of the show, though, it's the magic. I mean, if we're being honest, the magic is absolutely broken. There are these 2 spells, they're basically the same. There's a good version, and it takes a minute to build up, but you hear a bunch of dudes humming like, Then massive blue pillars of light rain down, obliterating everything around you. Then there's the evil version, because it's red, which does literally the exact same thing. It just erupts from the ground and sounds like...
I just got out of guard college last week and I only got a C- in hostage recovery. Know what? I'll tell you where they are and leave you to it.
So, Fable, it's a satire, right? And it's absolutely dripping in it. You can streak through town wearing nothing but Union Jack briefs, belch or fart in people's faces, and name yourself Arseface for crying out loud.
My arse face is better than your arse face.
Big bad arse face!
This is where the game really set itself apart from other RPGs of the time. During a time when most developers are creating dramatic epics with deep characters and surprise twists, here you have the savior of the world punting chickens across the city, getting drunk, puking on the floor, and sleeping in the streets. It's not just your actions either, it's the world you're set in. In a world filled with champions saving people and burning down villages, one may wonder, where did he get a name like Pie Master or Assassin? There must be a really good story that goes along with that. Well, there's not. He just bought it.
Oh, he's standing still!
The characters can be pretty ridiculous too. When you go to the prison, you find out that the worst torture imaginable is listening to the warden's poetry about Lady Grey.
It's painfully obvious you have no interest in the arts. My lyrical opus is wasted on your Philistine years. Back to the cell with you.
And early on, everyone mocks and boos you. But one of my favorite things is, during guild training, there's this guy who claims to be the fastest in all of Albion. And if you could run to the demon door and back in 60 seconds, you'll be the fastest. Of course, at this point, there's no way I'm gonna do what the developers tell me to do.
Right then, get to the demon door and back and talk to me in 50 seconds. That's amazing! How did you do it? I lost my bet.
There's a ton of other stuff like that, like the most legendary weapon in all the land being a frying pan. I already mentioned the religious institutions and the fact that your character basically just shrugs off everything, the most traumatizing events of his life as he goes. There's the books and just so much more.
Very well, hero. Do your worst. I am no defenseless old man. I have powers that you can't begin to...
This is also a trait that carries into the following games, but it's definitely a standout of Fable. And honestly, there's too much to mention, so this is going to be a shorter section. To really appreciate the humor in Fable, you need to play it yourself. Fable at its core is a great epic fantasy. I don't have time to go into all the intricate lore and details here, but trust me, it's fantastic. And honestly, that's always taken a backseat when it comes to Fable. It's a game that lets you be the hero, the villain, or anything in between. And that's the beauty of it. So whether I'm chasing chickens or saving the day, it'll always be one of my favorites. It doesn't take itself too seriously. From the freedom of being a chicken chasing hero or an evil overlord, to the endless little details that make Albion feel so alive, Fable carved out a very special place in my heart. Sure, it's not perfect. There are clunky mechanics, unfinished promises, and some questionable design choices, but those don't get in the way of the experience, at least not for me. And let's not forget the magic. Whether you're electrocuting an army or crushing your enemy with giant pillars of light, Fable was ahead of its time with the godlike potential that you have. Looking back, Fable not only shaped my gaming taste, but my understanding of what truly makes a memorable experience. But I think the important thing to remember from all this is, Whisper sucks, Fable 3 sucks, and I'll fight you if you disagree with me. You, me, and Not Whole Glade. Tonight. Hey y'all, sorry it's been so long. This year has been crazy. I mentioned in my last video, I started my master's program, so that's taking up a lot of my extra time. On top of it, I consider myself fairly creative, so I do a lot of writing and things that I just get the urge and I have to get it out, and that ends up taking a lot of time too. I've got a little girl that just turned 1. I got another on the way. So there's a lot going on, keeping me busy, but I am dedicated to this. I want to keep making these as often as I can, and believe me when I say I do put in as much effort and time possible. So I really appreciate you watching all the way to the end. If you like the video, you know, do the things. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one.